Individuals that are spiritually dynamic, based on their experiences, they either adhere very strongly to the persona of divine as father or the persona of divine as mother. This fetish that takes place in the root of the mind, that creates this imbalance of allegiance to one side of God more than another side of God, is a byproduct of trauma on a sociological macro scale, performed by movements and such that misuse the power, the responsibility that was entrusted in them, and leverage individuals into paradigms of fear, negative reinforcements, and leveraging, as well is a byproduct of an individual's personal upbringing, their relationship with their father and their mother. At an early stage in development, to the child, the father is all-powerful, and the mother is a sustenance to all life. And they personify these abstract, divine expressions in the mind of the child that's formulated. And these are the seeds that plant the terrain, that create the pathways, that create the impressions for the trail of expansion and growth for the child. A child that has conflicted feelings about their father will grow up to have a resolute attachment to divine as mother. A child that has conflicts with their father or sees the faults at a too early stage of their father will be resolute in the divine expressions of God as nurturing, earthy, terrestrial, the incubator of all of existence. Individual that grows up with conflicts and difficulties integrating with their mom will only be able to relate to divinity as ethereal, infinite, and passive. The spiritualist is desiring to recultivate the fields and create and restore the impressions of the mind, to create a pathway that is aligned in harmony, in balance with these two expressions of the divine. Those that have conflicted feelings about their mother will have difficulty embracing the unknown, will need to cleave to certainty, and will be reluctant to embrace new things and new terrains. Those that have conflicts with their father will find themselves always on the move. The inability to plant oneself, they are secure in the nurturing, and they take the unknown by the horns, boldly. But they stand for nothing. They're like the air. There is no anchor. The spiritualist's job is to learn from the imperfection. The passion, beauty, to restore and reunite with that has been amiss, that has been missing. And the experience of that imbalance will help elicit within the individual a terrific, profound passion of love for that reunion in spirit. Now, there are many very intelligent, spiritually dynamic individuals that are so filled with wisdom and knowledge and understanding that they think they know it all. But they don't think it, they feel it. They know all there is to be known. It's a very dangerous resonance. If you study many cultures, the mythologies and the archetypes of the great, great, great individuals that had performed so admirably, you'll find that they faced trials and tribulations. Trial after trial after trial, and they overcame it. And time and again, they were humbled and humbled and humbled, and they overcame it. And each time they overcame it, they came to a greater understanding and a greater concept. In the biblical archetype, you have this figure named Abraham, who's the father of all singularity, supposedly, and all great ideological movements, they're all attributed as coming forth through Abraham. He's called Ab, the father of it all. And we find that Abraham in the mythology is told, leave your birthplace, leave your home. Lech lecha me'artzecha u'moladecha. Leave your land, leave your birthplace, el hamakom asher arecha, into the place I will reveal to you. But The name Makom, place, is also a name for the divine. Leave the security of your birthplace. Leave your homeland. El HaMakom, Asher Rafa. To divine, as Father, that I shall reveal to you. Place is all the light, all the wisdom that is. Takes up all place. Each test that Abraham goes through, he goes through famine, he goes through difficulties and challenges. He's humbled and he comes to greater understanding. Each time he has a greater understanding, he makes a dedication and names a place or a monument for his new understanding of what the divine is. He gets to his 10th test. In the mythology, the 10th test is asking him to do something that is completely the antithesis of everything he stood for and everything he's imparted. And his understanding is super crippled. And he drags himself out and he has to go fulfill this. And he's unable. He's wounded in his understanding. But his determination is stellar. And he becomes a child with no understanding, and he says, the same thing that got me through to this point is going to get me further. And he goes out to this place called Mount Moriah. This place where there's a lot of conflict in the world today over this place. And the biblical verse says, Vayar et hamakom merachok. He saw the place from far away. And the spiritualist comments, Vayar et hamakom merachok. He saw God as place from far away. His expansive and evolved and grand understandings in the divine have all been crippled. And he can only fall back on the little strand of understanding he had when he started. And he was humble. And he went through the fires of the incredible awe of having to confront the sacrifice of all his hopes and all his dreams and all that he stood for. But the principle here is, from a spiritual perspective in this archetype, that in truth, the man who thinks he knows it draws upon himself the lesson to humble him, to expand his perception, to appreciate the infinite unknown. And to the degree that one becomes satisfied in the knowledge of what they know is the degree that the divine as mother will come with awe shock and awe and break your construct and break your paradigm as the ground slips from beneath your feet in order to humble you to greater understanding and greater knowing and a greater intimacy with the unknown that is. But is not understood. And that is called the Divine Mother beckoning one forward. Some call that learning, being forged through fire. And the Divine Mother energy is always associated with the energy and the power of fire. And the Divine Father energy is associated with the plurality and the potential that is expressed through water. The objective for the spiritually dynamic individual is to get out of the primitive patterns of the past, to uproot the impressions that have been planted by recognizing that those impressions were only implanted to offer imperfection, so that it would provide the canvas for greater romance, for greater passion, for greater reunion. And in channeling that suffering into passion, and that passion into intimacy, one will glorify a greater ascent and reunion to reunite intimately with the great unknown. And in that space, when one can actualize the dancing with the great unknown, with the certainty, clarity, and knowingness of all that they have known, the polarities are rendered obsolete and collapse. And the divine is neither masculine nor feminine. It is not wisdom and not the understood, but just the rebirth of the divine that is knowing. The child has been born just is, in a state of persistent is, with all that is. Prepared for a more harmonic pathway for every now, in every past, in every future, in every place, in every dimension. It is the knowingness that recrystallizes many back into all